And I think it is time to get started. Hey, welcome to AtTheTrack.live. My name is Coach James. I am the creator and lead instructor for All About Aerodynamics. What is All About Aerodynamics? Glad you asked, even if you didn't ask. All About Aerodynamics is a science program where I use Hot Wheels cars to teach kindergarten through 6th grade students about physics-related topics, including aerodynamics, lift, drag, downforce, Isaac Newton and his 3 laws of motion, kinetic energy, potential energy, a whole range of science topics. After I have taught them the science, after we've conducted experiments to drive home all those concepts, then I bring in about 400 different Hot Wheels cars, and each student selects a Hot Wheels car they think would be fastest in a series of races based on everything they've learned about aerodynamics. And after they have selected their cars, they examine their cars, they document things about their cars, put it into a spreadsheet, the year the car was manufactured. They take a picture, they take a video, they get the name of the car, they weigh the car, we test the speed of the car, and then after all of that is done, then we take the cars to the track. The students have a series of drag races, we have a tournament, and they observe how their car performed. Now, at the end of the races, after they've observed how their car performed, they have to determine if they would select that car again if they had the opportunity to make a new selection. Would they choose a new car? Would they keep the same car based on what they've observed? And then we are using the scientific method so that they can solve problems. And ultimately, we are having fun. Well, not ultimately we're learning something, but we're also having fun with Hot Wheels cars, which is almost as important. But it is a great program, and if you have students between the ages, grades kindergarten through 6th grade, all you have to do is go to our website, aaerodynamics.com, and you can find out more information about the program. You can contact me, or you can go to our Instagram account, aaerodynamics, and all of the information is in the bio. There is an online version of the program which is going to be rolled out very soon. I've done it with a few groups of students, and I've been making modifications and tweaks to the curriculum just to make the presentation more engaging for the students and entertaining and also educational. So there's a fine line of trying to mix in the fun and the educational aspects of the program, but the students always come away learning a lot more than I think they expected to from the beginning. So it is a great program, if I do say so myself, and you can check it out. But this is not all about aerodynamics. This is all about aerodynamics presents AtTheTrack.live. So what is AtTheTrack.live? AtTheTrack.live is where I introduce the cars that are going to be used by the students, the new cars, because currently there are, let me see, there are 724 cars currently in the All About Aerodynamics AtTheTrack.live fleet. So when I take the cars to the students, I only take about 400. Taking 700 would overwhelm them with choices, and 400 is already plenty, but there are usually lots of students, so that works out. But anyway, in the entire fleet, there are 724 cars, and I, like most Hot Wheels enthusiasts and collectors, am always picking up more Hot Wheels cars in the stores, and there's a Hot Wheels swap meet out here in Pasadena. I believe that it's happening tomorrow. If you go on Instagram to Diecast Support, I believe that's the address. You can get more information about the location and the date. But I believe it's tomorrow at Arroyo Seco Park in Pasadena. And I pick up cars there. I pick up cars in the store, bring them back. But the problem is I can't do anything with those cars until I have taken a video, cataloged those cars, and then officially entered them into the fleet. Well, AtTheTrack.live is where I get the opportunity to do that. I go into the storage unit, pull out 6 cars, crack those open, take a look at them, shoot the video, take a picture, enter the information into the spreadsheet, and then take all the cars out to the track. Track's already set up, it's ready to go, so why not put it to use and have a little mini tournament, and each of those cars competes, and we end up with a champion for the day. That car, which is the day's champion, gets to go up against what we call our fastest in fleet car. And the fastest in fleet car is the car that has been the champion from the previous week. And in the case of our current fastest in fleet car, it has been the champion for the previous week for the past 9 or 10 weeks. So that car, our current fastest in fleet car, is this one. It is the BlitzSpeeder. And if you saw the little promotional ad that we were running on Instagram this week, you will see, or if you were here last week, I have deemed the BlitzSpeeder the fastest Hot Wheels car on the planet. On the planet Earth, in the galaxy, might as well go that far. This car has been so dominant on our track that I'm having a hard time trying to figure out a car that can even not beating it is way off in the future. Just a car that can give it a competitive series of races, because our races are best 2 out of 3, and to this point the BlitzSpeeder has only lost 1 race. It lost 1 race, then it lost the first race, came back and won the next 2, so then it moved on. And other than that 1 race, it's beaten every single car that it has faced, and beaten them by pretty significant margins. It hasn't really had many close races. So the BlitzSpeeder is our fastest in fleet car. It is our champion. So the car that wins today's tournament, today's little mini tournament, will be the car that challenges the BlitzSpeeder and we'll see if it can at least be competitive. If it beats it, I'll be blown away, because the BlitzSpeeder has been our fastest in fleet car for the last, I think at this point it's 10, this is the 10th week? It's 9 or 10. Either way, it's a lot. And the BlitzSpeeder, we're going to pull in some cars today, and maybe one of those cars will be able to take out the BlitzSpeeder. I'm not sure, but we're going to find out, because we have I have a group of cars here. I may have pulled out 1 or 2 too many, but we've got the cars here. However, this is AtTheTrack.live. So because it's AtTheTrack.live, what's the point of it being live? The point of it being live is that you have the opportunity to participate. You can go to AtTheTrack.live, and you will be presented with 3 options. You'll have the option for the YouTube link, the Twitch stream link, and the third option will say choose a car. If you select choose a car, you will be taken to this page. And on this page, you can scroll through and you can see all of the cars that are currently in the All About Aerodynamics AtTheTrack.live fleet. And they are all numbered, they are all cataloged, and what you can do is you can find a car that you think would be faster than one of the cars that I've picked. And let's say you think it's this Riley and Scott MK2. You can click on that. You can see a close-up view of the car. You can take a look, and if you decide, yeah, that's the car I think is going to be fastest, all you have to do is take the number of that car, in this case 267. You drop that into the chat. I will pull that car, and then we will take it out to the track. It will compete with the other 6 cars, and we will see which car comes out on top. So you can choose one car per week, and there are, like I said, there are 724 cars. Well, if we subtract the BlitzSpeeder, 723. And one of them, odds are that one of them is faster than the BlitzSpeeder. But at this point, we have no idea which car that might be. Maybe it's this 08 Dodge Challenger. Maybe it's this one. I don't know. But if you think it is, you would take that number, 350, drop it in the chat, and we would see if you were right. There are fantasy cars, there are race cars, there are drag cars, there are character cars, there are cars based on actual cars, like this 2016 Bugatti Chiron. It's a great looking car. I don't know if it's raced recently, since we've been doing AtTheTrack.live, but it is, now in real life, we know that this is one of the fastest cars on earth, but on our Hot Wheels track, it's a little different situation. So, but if you think that Bugatti is the car, all you have to do is take that number, 358 in this case, drop it in the chat, and I'll pull the car. We'll take it to the track, and it will go up against one of the cars that I pull. Maybe you want to go in a whole different direction. Maybe you want to go the entire complete fantasy route. And maybe this is what you're going for, this duck and roll. The rubber ducky inspired car. Okay, if that's the way you want to go, maybe that's the kind of outside of the box thinking it's going to take in order to beat the BlitzSpeeder. Then you would take that number, 406, drop it in the chat. I'd pull the car, and then we would see if you were correct. Let's see, I'm looking at these. I'm just scrolling through, because sometimes I even forget which cars I've got in here. So we've got this one, the Rip Rod. And then on the other end, we've got the Mod Rod. And there are some differences there. But there's just a variety of cars. Now, there are some things that we do know, some information that I pass along, because anyone who's watched any of the videos, watched any of the races, will have observed this. One of the things that you want to try to do is, the first part is a flat back end on the car, because the launcher that I designed has actual blocks that push the cars out from the launcher. And those blocks are actual blocks, so they have flat faces. What you want, ideally, is a car that has a flat back end, so that it can press up right against those launching blocks and have a lot of surface area touching the block. And when it gets pushed out, it will get a much better push. If it has just a single point of contact, like we saw with some of the Batmobiles and some of the other fantasy cars, they'll come to a point at the end, and they'll just have one little piece of the car touching the launching block. Well, when they get pushed out, they don't necessarily get a good straight push, and it ends up with them drifting off to one side or the other, possibly crashing. But when they drift off to one side or the other, they will hit one side of the track, scrape along that side of the track, bounce back, and it will be a process that repeats itself. And it's something that I go over with the students about Isaac Newton and his third law of motion, which for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. So once that car hits the right side, it is going to bounce off, hit the left side. It's going to hit that left side, bounce back to the right. And when we launch the cars down the track with so much speed and so much force, it's easy for the students to actually see this principle at work, because you can see the car bouncing back and forth. So it's one of the many reasons why I use a flat drag track for All About Aerodynamics instead of a gravity track, because with this track we can get much higher speeds than with a gravity track, and there are more of the physics principles we can observe when the cars are moving faster, because as the cars move faster, just like in real life, as cars move faster, the air has more of an impact. Drag is more of a factor when cars are moving quickly, and the same thing applies on this smaller scale. Just looking at a couple of these cars, I remember the Shadow Jet. It was strange. I think this, if I remember correctly, it was heavy, and the wheels where they were positioned didn't really help this out. But I think with a different wheel configuration, this shape, that might be a good selection there. There's just such a random assortment of cars. Oh, hey, Roughshod is back. Roughshod's been consistently picking week after week, and he's gotten close, but the BlitzSpeeder has just been a little much. But a few weeks back, he did pick one of the cars that won the tournament, and then faced the BlitzSpeeder, and then he decided to go back and pick the truck car that was most dominant before the BlitzSpeeder arrived, the Draftnator, and set up a great and impressive showdown that we had a couple of weeks ago between the Draftnator and the BlitzSpeeder. Maybe that was last week. I think it was last week. Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, the BlitzSpeeder is fast, but let's see. Roughshod is picking car number 166, the flash drive. Let's go ahead and take a look since we're already here. Scroll back up. And one of the things that I did mention is that you can see when I'm scrolling through, the cars have black backgrounds until you get to car 451, and then they turn blue for the most part. Car 451, this is where we started at the Track Live. So, starting with car number 451, we began having these weekly tournaments. So, every car from 451 all the way down to 724 has participated in At The Track Live, which means that all of these cars have been beaten. And if one of these cars, like let's say this Datsun Bluebird 510, if this car were the fastest car between 451 and 724, it would be our fastest in fleet champion, but it's not, which means it was beaten somewhere along the way and did not beat the BlitzSpeeder. So if you're going to pick, the best odds are that the car that's going to be fastest is going to be from number 1 through number 450. So one of these cars with the black background, because these were in the fleet before I started At The Track Live. So let's go up and see. There's also the case that fantasy cars have ended up performing better on the track than the sort of cars modeled after actual cars. And usually, I mean, the fantasy cars have very unique aerodynamic profiles, and so there may be something there. The weights are usually pretty similar on the cars. We don't have too much variation, but okay, here we go. 166, the flash drive. So this is the car that Roughshod has picked. It is a fantasy car, and once I pull it, I'll put it on the turntable and we'll take a closer look. But already, flat back end, and because of that odd, I guess I'd call it a wing, but it extends very far down, and the shape of it is interesting. But because of that big wing piece in the back, that gives it a lot of surface area. That might have the most surface area of any car we've had pressed up against that launching block. The car, I can see from just the shape of it and the way it's constructed, that it seems like it will be pretty light. It looks like it's a metal base with a plastic body, and this might be the one. This might be the one. We will find out. So I'll pull that car, and we will take a look at that and see if it is if it's going to be the one. And since we're already in this group, in this area, let's see. The bumpers can move. Oh, okay. So yeah, once I pull it, we'll check it out and see what's happening with this car. And because some of these cars, especially the fantasy cars, do have little adjustable elements. I know that this Street Wiener car, the grill in the back can pop open. There's other cars that do different things. We had a lowrider a week or two ago that had, as the car moved forward, the engine rocked back and forth. But yeah, we'll see how this all plays out. And let's see here. I was looking for, okay, this one, because we have right here, we have the Formula Gen E2, and I had to double check this car because this is modeled after an actual electric, I don't know if this would be considered a Formula One car, but a race car. And I was checking on that because the first car that we are going to introduce this week is one that I just picked up, and it is the Formula Gen E3. And I would, at some point, there will be a Gen 2 versus Gen 3 race, but right now, this Gen 3 Formula E car is going to be the first one up this week. And I'm going to crack this open and we'll take a closer look. Oh, there's some information on the back. Faster, lighter, and more powerful, the next generation of all-electric racers has arrived. With a top speed of 200 miles per hour and increased battery regen capabilities, it takes performance and sustainability to a whole new level. So the designer is Formula E, the company, and they created this in 2023. So let's crack it open and see what we've got. All right, seems pretty light, but let me just check the weight. Oh, hang on. Get the scale properly adjusted. Okay, this one's coming in at 31.9 grams. Let me get it on the turntable. Now we can take a closer look right here, and I think this is one that I need to swap out the background, because with the dark colored cars and the dark background, it makes it a little harder. There's not as much contrast, so it's a little tougher for the students to get a good view. So instead, I'll bring this down, and now we can see. And one thing I already noticed about this car is with the back end, but we will get to that. We'll see it come around as I shoot this video. And there we go. Yeah, exactly. So Roughshod mentioned the small point of contact. So when it comes around the back, you're going to see that right now, from this angle, it looks like, okay, it's good. It's got these two wings and fins that will press up, but then as it comes around, you see it's got this piece sticking out of the back, which on the real car, maybe the tailpipe or something. But now on this car, that is the only, that point in the back is going to be the only part of the car that is touching the launching block. And it's already, it's kind of narrow. And this car, unless it gets a perfect launch and push, is likely to be all over the place on the track, bouncing back and forth. So we will see. Let me see. Formula E Gen 3. Yeah, it's true. You really never know how the cars are going to perform, which is why we take them to the track and actually have the races, because there are surprises. And in fact, the BlitzSpeeder was a surprise. That car was just sitting in a pile of loose cars, and apparently I hadn't considered entering it into the fleet until I did, and turns out, it's incredibly fast. But I think with this car, it's just a matter of if it gets a good launch. If it gets a good launch, then there's no reason why it couldn't be competitive with our fastest cars. But the problem is, usually it's just a matter of that consistency. And cars that don't have that flat back end just have a problem with the consistency of the launch. So they might get a good launch, race 1, take the win. Race 2, they're bouncing around. Race 3 is anybody's guess. So we will find out, but this is our first entrant today, is the Formula E Gen 3. And let me just check I'll check the date, the manufacturing date on here. 2023. And just for comparison in terms of weight, let me check the BlitzSpeeder is, the BlitzSpeeder weighs in at 32.6 grams. So this Formula E Gen 3 is just slightly lighter than the BlitzSpeeder. So that should be, there shouldn't be an issue there. Yesterday I was out, and see, this is part of the problem. I have cars in storage, and the idea is that when I buy newer cars, I put them in sort of the newer storage bin, and when I do AtTheTrack.live, I'll go to the oldest storage bin and pull out cars. But that's usually what happens. But then I'll go to the store, buy a car, and I want to see it on the track, like immediately. And so that Formula E Gen 3, I just bought that one, and put it in. And yesterday I was at a store that sells, they have like used books and CDs, and then now they have like collectibles and video games and toys that they've introduced. And so I happened to be, I was actually at the mall because I was buying another of these cases for the Hot Wheels. And so the store that sells all the used stuff is right across from the place where I bought that case. So I'm like, let me see what kind of Hot Wheels. And the Hot Wheels are always overpriced. Always. I don't know who's in there making the decisions, but they're either $3 or $5. And I think they don't base it on any kind of actual pricing. I think they just look at the packaging. And if it's sort of the normal standard Hot Wheels package like this, then they slap a $3 label on it. If it's some kind of bulkier character car or something, then they just throw the $5 tag on it. But I saw one and I decided, you know what? Let me go ahead and pick it up. And no, it's not a Batmobile. We've had 12, 13 Batmobiles in the fleet, and yeah, last week that Superman versus Batman Batmobile was actually pretty quick. This is actually annoying. This chair is very comfortable, but when I went to Office Depot and bought the chair, they were like, "Oh, leather, blah blah blah," and so I was like, "Okay," and I got it, and it's not actually it's I don't know what this is, but it's not leather. It looks like leather, but after a year or so of having the chair, it starts to wear out, and just the flapping behind me was distracting as I look at the monitors. Chair's comfortable. This Office Depot is not leather. I don't know what I mean, I can almost see through it, but anyway, little distraction. That's taken care of. Anyway, back to the point. So we had the Superman versus Batman Batmobile that was pretty fast, and wasn't faster than the BlitzSpeeder, but it was fast enough. So I was in the store, saw this character car, and decided to pick it up. This is from the DC Superhero Girls. I don't know anything. I don't know if this is a cartoon or a comic book or what, or a video game, but this car is the Katana car. I presume that's Katana. And this car, I like just the profile of the car. I couldn't tell, with it being a character car and a more premium car, how much it weighed. So if it's a heavier car, that's gonna work against it, depending on how heavy it is. I'm gonna crack this open. $5 for this was not a little much. It's too much, but I don't know. Either way, I'm going to crack it open. We're going to take a look, and we'll see. I will say this, that sushi tuner car that I bought in the airport in San Jose, because I hadn't seen it before, and so it was like, cool, so I picked it up. I had a feeling that's the kind of car that eventually you'll just see everywhere, warming the pegs. Just every time you go in the store, there'll be plenty of sushi tuners. And sure enough, I think on Wednesday, I was at the grocery store flipping through, saw the sushi tuner. So when I bought it in the airport, $5. At the grocery store, $1.25. So I guess at this point, it's like one $5 car per week, but that's not a habit I want to keep. Although if I go to that swap meet, the Hot Wheels swap meet tomorrow, then that may in fact be a price that I pay. Let's see here. Oh, okay. Cartoon. So I guess. So DC Superhero Girls is a cartoon, but Katana is a character in the Suicide Squad and in the movies. So actually I think the fact that this is more of this cartoon version of her kind of threw me off, but I think I do recall that from the DC movies. So thank you. See, learn something every day. All right, let's crack this open. Okay, and the year on this one is 2016. Let's check the weight here. The Katana car weighs in at 44 grams. That is a lot. That is definitely not going to... I can't say it's going to be detrimental, but it's not going to help. And it's one of the things that I mentioned on our website. I don't know if the link is on the website, but if you go to the YouTube channel, there is and also in the Instagram bio, in the link tree thing, you can see that a few years back, we did a test that was a gravity track versus the launcher. And so I had a gravity track set up and the launcher on the ground, and you can see them both. And when I let the cars go from the gravity track, then I launch them from the launcher, and we see the difference in speed. And I keep changing the angle on the gravity track because if the car is released from a steeper angle and higher up, they can get more speed. And the cars in the launcher were still just blowing right past the cars from the gravity track. And that launcher that I used, that was one of the launchers, that was a Mattel launcher, which is not the launcher that we're currently using. We're currently using a launcher that I designed and had manufactured that is faster than, and it shoots the cars out with more force, a lot more force than the Mattel launcher. So if you go back and watch that gravity track versus launcher video, the old launcher was faster than the cars on the gravity track. The new launcher is way faster than all that. So the fact that this car is heavy, what it ultimately means is that as it gets to the far end of the track, it is going to gravity is going to come into play. And usually with the heavier cars, what we see is that as they get toward the back end of the car, they just start to slow down. The back end of the car, the back end of the track, they get to that last third, and you can actually just see them slowing down. So it is not a plus to be a heavier car. You really want to be in that 31 to 35 gram range. Sometimes a little heavier, a little lighter, plus or minus. But if you're in that sweet spot of 30 to 35, you're going to be pretty good. Now, this car might do well on the, on a gravity track. But also, there's another thing to consider, is that because it is a premium car, character car, they may have, I'm not certain, but maybe it has nickel-plated axles, like the faster than ever cars. Maybe there's something different about the actual physical makeup of the car that might actually make it perform better. So we will see, because again, it's what I tell the students, that we can race the cars. Well, first of all, they can have a hypothesis. They can have a theory based on everything that we have observed and that we've learned. But we still have to conduct the experiment. And even after we conduct the experiment, racing the cars, so we know that the BlitzSpeeder is fast. There's no question about that. But I have to keep data. So how these other cars perform, we're going to start to see trends. So one of the trends that we've already recognized is that there's something about the fantasy cars. Fantasy cars seem to do better. Why? That's a question for later. If the flash drive car that Roughshod picked, let's say that beats the BlitzSpeeder. So now we've had the Draftnator, fantasy car, Track Tune, fantasy car, BlitzSpeeder, fantasy car. And if flash drive takes out the BlitzSpeeder, then that would be another fantasy car. When the students pick, they tend to pick, I've mentioned this before, Lamborghinis are always a hot pick with the students. And we've had Lamborghinis, Corvettes do well and win when the students are selecting cars. But that isn't necessarily how it's worked out with AtTheTrack.live when we've introduced new cars. So we'll see how this one performs. It's heavy. It is a character car, so maybe it's got some premium features that are gonna let it perform well on the track. We will find out. Let me check again. I think the year I said was 2016. Yes. So we will drop that in. We've got two cars. We've got the Formula E Gen3, and we've got the Katana car. Let's see. Up next, I decided to switch it up a little bit, and we are going to go with, first let me remove this background. We are going to go with, I don't have many, and actually, let me check before I start to try to introduce a car that I already have a duplicate of, because I really want to avoid introducing any more duplicate cars. That's interesting. I know we looked at it. I am checking because the car that's going to be introduced is this one. It's a Matchbox car, which I don't tend to do many Matchbox cars, but every once in a while I see one that I really like and pick it up and give it a shot. Mattel bought Matchbox years ago, and the Hot Wheels cars are still faster, so I think whatever the manufacturing is with the Matchbox car, I don't know if they're still all metal. Yeah, metal. They have a little badge here that says metal pieces, so maybe, but I mean, I still see plastic, but maybe that's the difference. Roughshod or anybody else, if you know what the specific, are there any differences other than Matchbox doesn't make fantasy cars, I believe, but other than that, are there any actual physical differences between Matchbox cars and Hot Wheels cars these days? I don't know, but I saw this 2018 Bugatti Divo, and really liked it, picked it up, and it is going to be introduced into the fleet. The thing that I was sort of giving me a little bit of pause about is I was checking the spreadsheet, and on the spreadsheet I was looking at Bugatti, and I see that we had that Bugatti Bolide, but when we were just looking at the page where you can select a car, that Bugatti Chiron is on there, but I don't see it listed on the spreadsheet, so I am going to have to double check that and find out what's going on. But for right now, oh, I know what, maybe it had a year listed, which I guess I better check with this one as well. 2018, we have a 2018 Honda Civic, and that is the only 2018 car we have. So we are good. Oh, yep, there it is. It's listed. So that Bugatti Chiron is a 2016, and so that's how it's listed in the spreadsheet as 16 Bugatti Chiron. So good. I don't want to find a glitch in the spreadsheet at this late date. So let's go ahead and crack open what will be car number 727 Bugatti Divo. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what this badge. There's so much marketing that goes on with cars and toys and all the things. So the little badge right here says metal pieces. Okay, so it doesn't mean all metal pieces, because the bottom of this car is definitely plastic. The wheels are plastic. So saying metal pieces, because there are some metal pieces, they could say that about any car. So again, I guess it's just marketing, but either way, this is a good looking car, and I'm going to check the weight. It's coming in at 34.4 grams, so that's actually pretty good. And let's go ahead and switch over, take a closer look at this one. And this, so the weight is good. And the aerodynamic profile is pretty good. I don't see a reason why this car might not be able to make some noise. It comes around, we'll check the back end. And the back it's squared off enough where it'll get a good solid launch. So yeah, this could be the first Matchbox car to take the victory. Now there are some older Matchbox cars in the fleet, some of which I had from when I was a kid. I know there's a Ferrari in there that's a Matchbox car that I used to play with all the time. It's that I call it the Magnum PI Ferrari, but in there's a Ford F-150. I think it was like an 83 Ford F-150 that I picked up that I liked. It was white and powder blue, and entered that into the fleet. Didn't do particularly well, but it's a good looking truck, and I picked it up, and it is part of the fleet. But we haven't really had Matchbox cars that have beaten out the Hot Wheels cars, and we will find out if this Bugatti can be the first to do that. Let me get the still picture. There are, let's see here, unplug this, see if I can get this light, there we go, get the light all the way up, adjust the car, this, switch over here, zoom in a bit, just trying to give the students a good look, especially, and a lot of this is specific to the online version of the program, where the students obviously won't have a chance to look at the cars in person. So I just want to make sure that I've sort of covered enough angles of the car that they can make a selection that they feel good about. And let's see here. Matchbox tends to keep close to the original design, where Hot Wheels tends to make some mods, but quality should be the same. Okay, yeah, I think that I have noticed that even in the cases I'm trying to think of the car where I have a Matchbox version and a Hot Wheels version, the Hot Wheels version does tend, the proportions and dimensions seem to be a little more modified. So yeah, okay, so thanks for that. And all right, so now we've got these three cars. We've got the Formula E Gen3. We've got the Katana character car. We have got the Bugatti Divo, the 2018 Bugatti Divo, and the manufacturing year is 2019. So let me add that in. And I am going to go and grab Roughshod's pick, which was the flash drive, and that was, let me see, what was the 166. Okay, so I'm gonna grab that. I still haven't made any kind of interlude music. They're right over there, so it should only take me about 20 30 seconds. So I'll be right back. I'm gonna grab that car, 166. 166. And flash drive. All right, got it here. The flash drive. So this is here. So let's see, take a look at Roughshod's pick. The flash drive. All right, check the weight first. Flash drive's coming in at 33.4 grams, so perfect, right in that sweet spot area. Let's see. There's nothing on here to be adjusted. So let's go ahead and just take a look here. Get it up on the turntable. And switch over. And we will take a look. Move my hand out of the way. All right. The flash drive. Here we go. So, back out just a little bit. All right, so as the car comes around, it's got this, it's a lot of plastic, but it's sitting on that metal base, and I like that. The metal base, keep it stable, but this back end, this is the interesting part, this huge back end, this wing bumper rear thing. That is going to press up right against the launching blocks, and I think this is going to get a great push. And as it does, I think, because even as big as this thing is, because it's got these holes in these openings, stop this right here and point to these openings here are not going to, and if we're talking about the airflow, it's not going to slow this car down. If any of these were enclosed or just full panels, then it would almost act like a parachute and slow the car down. But with this design, I think that all of this is going to press up against the launching block. It should get a good solid push. It's got a metal base, plastic on top. There is nothing that I see that should prevent this car from being fast. So this may be the one to take out the BlitzSpeeder. But with the fantasy cars, you just never know. But everything about this car suggests that it should do well on the track. So we've got the flash drive, and that will be part of our tournament today. It is coming up soon, and you still have time. If you want to make a selection, all you have to do is go to AtTheTrack.live, select choose a car. You will be taken to this page. On this page, you can scroll through and you can see all of the cars that are currently in the All About Aerodynamics At The Track Live fleet. You can make your selection. I will pull that car, and you will have it entered in just like Roughshod's pick of the flash drive. All you have to do is enter in the number of the car. So all these cars have numbers. If you think that the dual fueler is going to be the fastest car, then you can select that, and it's got a number 144. You would drop that into the chat, and that would be the car that I pull. It's sitting right next to the 72 Ford Gran Torino Sport, which is another of my favorite cars. This is just a great looking car. It's not particularly fast that I remember, but this is a great looking Hot Wheels car. So all of these, oh no, they're just another Lamborghini Aventador LP 700. I believe that Roughshod, I think you picked this one several weeks ago, and that was a good. Lamborghini is always a good, solid, safe pick. But now we're going with the flash drive. We're going to see how that does. This Morris Mini, if you think that's the car, all you have to do is take the number, in this case 177, take it, drop it into the chat. I will pull the car and we will race. It will go up against the flash drive, the 2018 Bugatti Divo, the Katana character car, and the Formula E Gen E. So right now we have 4 cars. We're going to add in 2 more, and I think we are going to go with another. We'll keep this theme up, but I have to double check because I don't want to have duplicate cars in the fleet. So I am just going to check and see, make sure we don't already have one of these. I hope we don't, because I really like the look of this car. All right, Mercedes. We do not. All right, great. So the next car that is going to be entered into the fleet is just like that Bugatti. It is another red car. It is the Mercedes-Benz 300 SL, and it's let's see, there's no other information on the back. It's obviously based on an actual car. I am going to crack this open and we are going to take a look. Okay, so this car, unlike the flash drive, this car has a plastic base and a metal body, and it feels pretty light. So let's see how light it is. Yeah, very light, 25.7 grams. So this car is coming in on the extreme other end of the spectrum, 25 grams. And the reason why that's probably going to be a problem, I talked about how heavier cars have an issue on the track. So sometimes students decide they want to go with the lightest possible car, which makes sense in theory, but doesn't always work out practically, because a car being lighter, with the force that our launcher generates, usually is a recipe for the car flying off the track and having pretty spectacular crashes. But other than that, it's not really. Very light cars have not been particularly successful. But I think if the car is going to be this light, the back end, it needs to be wider, and the back end needs to be flat to guarantee a good push. When cars like this, the lighter cars tend to be smaller, and because they're smaller cars, they're going to be narrow and more susceptible to bouncing around the track, like in a way that is not at all helpful. So we will see if the Mercedes-Benz 300 SL can go against that trend of smaller cars bouncing around the track. So Mercedes-Benz 300 SL. And I did not check the year yet on this one. But I'm also seeing that the back end is kind of rounded. And so it's narrow, the back end is rounded, and it's small, and it's light. I'm thinking this car is going to crash. If it can somehow manage to stay on the track, then it could be pretty fast. But the other problem, one thing I'm starting to notice, I don't know, it's just one of those things that I'm taking note of, but I don't know if that's the case specifically, is that if this car had the reverse situation where it was a metal base and a plastic body, that might work out better for this car than the metal on plastic. So we will find out. We've got the car all the information entered except for the manufacturing year. Let me take a look and see what that is. 2019. Okay. 2019 for the Mercedes-Benz SL 300. So now we have 5 cars. We have Formula E Gen3. We have the Katana, the Bugatti Divo, the Flash Drive, and the Mercedes-Benz 300 SL. And we are going to enter in one more. I just once again need to double check the spreadsheet, make sure there is not already one of these in here. There is not. Okay, so I have a whole storage bin full of trucks. They are predominant. Most of them are too wide to fit on the track or into the launch channel, or they're really tall, and so it wouldn't be a fair race to have those trucks against these cars. But I do like to introduce trucks, so I will at some point. We're gonna have a whole truck tournament, but when I can find a truck to introduce, I like to do that. The Draftnator is a truck, and was our champion for 6 weeks. So I am introducing another truck in the Dragnator sort of drag truck inspired theme, and it is this one, the Limited Grip. And you can see right here, it's clearly a race inspired truck. And let's crack it open. This is a fantasy car, of course, but they do have sometimes they have this little bio information that they've created on the back. It says Limited Grip. Drift the day away with twin turbo V8 engine, bash bar, and hand controlled rear brakes. Because one must slide sideways, make smoke, and burn rubber to practice perfect vehicle control. So I guess they're presenting this as a drift car, but it is a truck. It is the Limited Grip. It's got the profile to do well. So let's crack it open and take a look. Okay, so this is another metal body on a plastic base, and the weight is 30.3 grams. So it's pretty light, and let's go ahead and get it over here so we can take a look. I like the profile of it. And let's go ahead and take a look. Actually, I am going to, once again, with the darker cars, I just want to have some contrast so that they can kind of stand out a little better. Go. Turn this around right there. Okay. All right, so we've got the Limited Grip. Let's get this video, take a look at that. And the front, it's there's no hood, and so the engine's exposed, and I'll have to take a look to see if it's closed or if it's open. I can see from the wheel wells that there are openings in that in that engine compartment. As it comes around the back end is flat. It's a light car, and I think this might be. I'm trying to decide which car is going to be my pick, and I think that flash drive, just based on everything that we've seen so far in terms of fantasy cars with kind of a low profile. It's got a metal base. I think that's a good recipe for success. So outside of the flash drive, I think it will come down to this. I think this truck might be the one. That Mercedes, I'm just worried that it's too light and is not going to get a decent push. I think the Formula E Gen3, if it didn't have that weird little tailpipe point sticking out in the back, I would pick that car. But I'm not. The only reason I'm not picking it is because I don't know that it's going to get a consistently good launch. I think it might get a good launch once, it might get a good launch twice, but consistently, in order to win this tournament, it would have to get essentially 6 perfect launches, and I don't know that that's going to happen, but we'll find out. We're very close to finding out because it is almost time to hit the track. Let me just grab this picture of the limited grip, and now we've got that. We've got all of our contestants entered in. Everybody, all the cars are ready to go. We have 6 cars. We have the track ready. Oh, let me check the manufacturing year on this one. And it is 2022. We've got that 2022. And we are just about to go to the track and race these cars and find out which car is going to be competing against the BlitzSpeeder for the fastest in fleet title, which car is going to take the title for today. And when we go to the track, this is what you will be seeing. You will be seeing a 3-camera view, and the cars will start at the top of the screen on the left. You can see the launchers at the top. I'll give a countdown, 3, 2, 1, race. Trigger the launcher, the cars will come flying out from top to bottom. They will pass out of the bottom of the screen on the left, and you will see them at the top of the screen in the middle. They will come from top to bottom, passing out of the screen in the middle, and you can pick them up at the top of the screen on the far right, which is our finish line camera. The cars will come from top to bottom. They will cross the finish line, and the winning car will be indicated with a solid red light. The losing car will be indicated with a flashing red light. So the winning car, solid red light. Losing car, flashing. Wait, see, now I've just messed myself up. The winning car will have a solid red light. The losing car will have a flashing red light. Our races are best 2 out of 3. And the cars will switch lanes after each race. If a car crashes and comes off the track, then we throw out those results and restart the race. If a car crashes twice consecutively, it is disqualified, because if a car crashes twice consecutively, that usually means that there's some problem with the car, with the launch that it's getting, with the design, that isn't going to be resolved by simply rerunning the race over and over. So, car crashes twice consecutively, it's done. But if a car crashes, we've had this happen. If a car crashes but doesn't come off the track, then it's just lost the race. We've had cars that crash and flip, but they still remain on the track. It's unfortunate, but they lose. That's it. But that is pretty much it. I am going to get these cars all gathered up, and we are going to see which of these cars, if any, can challenge the BlitzSpeeder for dominance. And I will meet you over at the track in 30 seconds. Okay, just going to double check the audio, make sure everything's good on this end. 1 2 1 2. Yep, audio's good. All right, we are ready to go. We have a group of cars lined up. We are going to see how this plays out. We will go. Let's see. We are going to go. We've got the flash drive, we've got the Bugatti. We're going to go Formula E Gen3 against the Mercedes, the SL300 or 300 SL. So we have the lightest car in the bunch with that Mercedes, and we have the Gen E, which I'm just curious about because I don't know what kind of launch to expect from either one of these cars. The Gen E has that little point at the back, and that is the only point that is touching the launching block. That's in lane 2. And then this light Mercedes is in lane 1, which if I'm just guessing based on what I've observed, I think that this Mercedes is going to crash, and I think it's going to be spectacular. But I don't know. Could just be fast. If it stays on the track, it has a good shot of, being a sleeper car. So here we go. The Mercedes is in lane 1. The Formula E Gen3 is in lane 2. Let's see what happens. Here we go. Three, 2, 1, race. Woo. Okay, so the Mercedes stayed on the track. It did wobble. It bounced back and forth from side to side, and we already discussed how that doesn't make for a great outcome. Meanwhile, the Formula E Gen3 won the race and got wedged under the barrier at the back end of the track. It didn't seem to have any problems. That little point didn't seem to make much of a difference in terms of the launch and or performance. But like I said, it's kind of hit or miss with cars with strange back ends, is that they can get a perfect launch one race and an awful launch the next race. So we're going to switch sides. The Mercedes is going to be in lane 2. In lane 2. And this Formula E Gen3 is going to be in lane number 1. Let me get the Mercedes lined up. It's rolling away from the launching block, which we can't have. All right, they're lined up. Mercedes in lane 2, Formula E Gen3 in lane 1, race number 2. Here we go. Three, 2, 1, race. Okay, so that Formula E, that was fast. I don't know if it's BlitzSpeeder fast yet, but that was pretty fast. The Mercedes did fine, but isn't going to make it. Next up, let's go with we'll go with Roughshod, the flash drive, against this Katana car. So this Katana is the character car that is heavy. It's, I think it was 44.5 grams. And the flash drive is Roughshod's pick. It's a fantasy car. It's got the profile, all the makings of a car that should do very well on the track. I've set it up in the launcher, and it is already, the back end is pressed firmly up against the launching block. It's got a lot of surface area touching. It's a wide car, and that's always good on the track. So everything is lined up for this flash drive to do well. The Katana car, on the other hand, has got a good aerodynamic profile, but it's heavy. And so we'll see. Does the fact that it's a premium custom car or a premium car, will that make a difference? I don't know. But we've got Katana in lane 2, flash drive lane 1, race 1. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. It was close, closer than I would have expected, but the flash drive took that one. We will switch lanes and see if there is a change in outcome based on the lane switching. I don't know if I was just looking up at the monitor and I saw it was there was like a little bit of a glitch. I don't know if that came through on the stream, but in that matchup it was pretty close. But the flash drive took it, and now we're switching lanes. Flash drive is now set up in lane 2, and we've got the Katana car set up in lane 1. So this is race number 2. We'll see if the flash drive can take 2 in a row and move on. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. Ooh. Okay, the Katana car, that was close. Katana car caught it right at the end. I'm still not seeing if, again, I don't know if this is just my feed here, but it looks to have been, it looks like there was some issue with the stream. Let me just double check, because it may just be my monitor that is not giving me the proper kind of look at the track, but yeah, it seems to be okay. So I'm gonna just chalk it up to, I have a system that sends a remote feed to an iPad that I have connected, and sometimes that iPad loses the Wi-Fi signal, and then the monitor and everything looks choppy when the stream is still operating just fine. So hopefully that's still the case. So now it's 1-1. Katana took the second race. Flash drive has one. Katana has one. We've got the flash drive now back lined up in lane 1. Katana is lined up in lane 2. And this is the third race. We are going to see which of these cars takes it. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. And the flash drive takes it. The Katana car went up on 2 wheels and looked like it was about to crash. Unfortunately for it corrected itself and then stayed on the track, which is always the downside to that kind of performance. It would have been better off the Katana car would have been better off crashing and then setting itself up to have a restarted race where it had the opportunity to have a good launch versus whatever just happened, where it went up on two wheels, came back down on the track, and finished the race. So that is just what happens. So Flash Drive moves on. So we have Flash Drive and the Formula E Gen 3 car moving on. Next up, we're going to have the limited grip against the Matchbox Bugatti Divo. So we will see how that plays out here. Okay, so this Bugatti is very wide, so wide in fact that it's not wedged in to the launching channel, but it is very snug, let's just say. It's nothing that should prevent it. Like it could not be any wider. If it was a millimeter wider it would not fit, but right now it's sort of the maximum width to be in the launcher, which is good because it should minimize it bouncing back and forth. So we've got the Bugatti Divo in lane 1, limited grip in lane 2. Let's see what happens. Three, two, one, race. Woo! Wow. The limited grip hit the barrier, flew up in the air, off the track, and went behind the curtain. Wow. Okay, here it is. So I think this is one of the pitfalls and the downside of being such a narrow car, is that it's subject to have any kind of performance. It could fly off the track, it could fly down the track. But in this case, it was the former, and it flew off the track, flew up into the air about a foot, and then fell behind the curtain. Meanwhile, this Bugatti Divo sped down the track, completed the race, but we are going to restart that because of the crash, and we will see if it can actually outperform this car, the limited grip. So let's see here. Bugatti's getting lined back up. The limited grip is going to need to stay on the track. That's going to be important. So here we go. Limited grip lane 2, Bugatti Divo lane 1. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. Ooh. The Bugatti takes it. Limited grip, to its credit, stayed on the track, but the Bugatti took that race, and we will see next if the Bugatti can take 2 in a row and move on. And again, I see the feed that's coming to my iPad is a little choppy, but when I checked on the screen on the desktop setup, everything was fine because all the cameras are leading back to the desktop anyway. So, and then the iPad gets a remote view so that I can just kind of keep track of what's happening with the stream and the chat. But it is I think everything's working properly, but we are about to have race number 2. So we've got the limited grip in lane 1. We've got the Bugatti Divo in lane 2. The Bugatti took the first race pretty handily, so let's see what happens in race number 2. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. And the Bugatti finished. The limited grip blasted. Well, it didn't. I don't know that it didn't hit the barricade, but it did wobble and fly off the track, which again is just the downside of a car this light and this narrow. I believe it was in the lower end, like the lower 30s in terms of weight, and that's just not necessarily where you, well, I mean, you can be there, you can be in that range, but the car is just so narrow. And a light car that is also narrow, it's what I thought was going to happen with that Mercedes, but instead it's been happening with the limited grip. Limited grip is going to need to stay on the track. If it comes off the track, it is disqualified and done, and the Bugatti Divo will move on. So the Bugatti Divo in lane 2 is up 1-0. Limited grip in lane 1. Let's see what happens. 3, 2, 1, race. Bugatti Divo took that with ease. The limited grip stayed on the track, and it didn't matter. So now we are down to 3 cars. We have got the Flash Drive, which was Roughshods' pick. We've got this Bugatti Divo, and we have the Formula E Gen3. So I think we will go next with the Flash Drive versus the Formula 1 Gen E, or Formula E Gen 3. So let's get these cars lined up, ready to race as we get closer and closer to seeing which of these cars will take on the BlitzSpeeder for the fastest in fleet title. Flash Drive is lined up in lane 1. Formula E Gen 3 is lined up in lane 2. Race number 1, here we go. Three, 2, 1, race. Okay, and the Formula E Gen 3 takes it. And let's see. That is, again, I'm surprised with that car because it has that tailpipe sticking out. And that tailpipe is, oh, just had to make an adjustment because the Formula E Gen 3 keeps, it's so low that it wedges itself underneath the barrier at the end of the track that stops the cars. But anyway, the tailpipe on this car, the Formula E, is the only point of contact for the launching block. And usually that's a recipe for disaster. But so far so good. So we will switch lanes and see if the Flash Drive can force a third and final race. All right, so we've got the Flash Drive in lane 2, Formula E Gen 3 in lane number 1. Here we go, race number 2. Three, 2, 1, race. Woo. That race was close, but the Formula E, it took it, and we are now in a situation where we're going to have the Formula E Gen 3 versus the Bugatti Divo, and that should be interesting because that means we are going to have, our winner is going to be a car based on an actual car, which to this point the fantasy cars have been pretty dominant. So we are going to see how this plays out. The Bugatti, I think it's done, it did well because it is the width. It is the perfect width. It is just wide enough to guarantee that it is able to stay on the track and it's less likely to have that wobble and bounce back and forth from side to side on the track because it is so wide. So this is a good car, a good solid car. So this is race number 1. This is our finals. We have the Bugatti Divo in lane 1. We have the Formula E Gen3 in lane 2. Let's see what happens. Three, two, one, race. Formula E takes it again. So we will swap lanes, and we will see if the Formula E Gen3 we will see if this car can go ahead and move on to face the BlitzSpeeder. It's looking pretty quick, and I've said that, I say that every week when we get to the finals, and then the cars go up against the BlitzSpeeder and don't look as fast as they did when they were racing the other competitors, but you never know. So we're switching lanes. Got the Formula E Gen3 in lane 1. The Bugatti Divo is going to be lining up in lane 2. This is race number 2. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. Formula E is today's champion, going to the finals against the BlitzSpeeder. It has got a low aerodynamic, a good aerodynamic profile. It is, the weight is pretty good. There is really, the only question I had going in was that tailpipe in the back and what kind of launch it would get. But we've seen that has not been an issue. It has gotten perfect launches every time. So we will find out very quickly whether or not we are about to see the end of the BlitzSpeeder's dominance. Is it going to come at the hands of the Formula E Gen3 car, a car based on a real car, which is something that we haven't seen happen in quite some time here at the Track Live? Maybe, I don't want to say ever, but I'm having a hard time thinking of the last car based on a real car that we've had in the fastest in fleet position. So the BlitzSpeeder, our fastest in fleet champion, is lined up in lane 2. The Formula E Gen3 is lined up in lane 1. This is for the fastest in fleet title, race number 1. Let's see what happens. Three, two, one, race. BlitzSpeeder. I'm gonna say, I mean, at this point, is it surprising? The BlitzSpeeder took that race with ease. We are going to switch lanes and see if the Formula E Gen3 car can get itself back together and take the race. I don't know. We'll see. Let's get it lined up. Switching lanes. So we've got the BlitzSpeeder in lane 2. I'm sorry, the BlitzSpeeder's in lane 1, and the Formula E Gen3 car is in lane 2. So let's see what happens. Here we go. Three, two, one, race. Whew. That was close. That was very close. It was so close that I couldn't tell from this end which car was going to take it. I had to look at the lights on the finish line, but as you can see, the flashing red light indicates the loser. The solid red light indicates the winner, and the winner, once again, is the BlitzSpeeder. So I am going to gather up these cars, head back into the garage. We will take a look at our winners and contenders, and I'll be there in about 30 seconds. And once again, the BlitzSpeeder. I mean, at this point, I can almost just record this part of the program and put it on a loop. The BlitzSpeeder is our champion, and the Formula E Gen3 car, it did well. It was close. It made the races close. The first one wasn't as close. The BlitzSpeeder took that with pretty much with ease. And then the Formula E Gen3, it did well. And that last race was really close. I mean, so close that I would have to go back and look at the... I'm going to go back and have to look at the video and see what how close that race was. One of the things that I'm need to start doing is cutting up some of this race footage for shorts on YouTube, and just taking out some of these, especially these really close races. The challenge that I have, and I have to figure out a way to kind of get the workflow regulated, is that the view that you see when we go to this track, that view that shows this, the track view. So obviously, because of the vertical format on with regard to YouTube and the shorts, and also on Instagram with the reels, I can't have this wide view, because when you condense that down into the vertical format, then everything's too small to be able to be seen. So what I end up doing is going into Premiere, and I have to take each of those views and line them up so that when the car passes through the bottom, it switches to the next view, and I have to line those up. And it's not hard to do. It's just you have to be very precise and adjust it so it doesn't make for anything with a quick turnaround time. So I'm trying to kind of streamline that process. And there's a lot of like work in progress things that are happening, but it's all fun, because I'm still in the end of the day dealing with Hot Wheels, racing Hot Wheels cars, looking at Hot Wheels cars, racing. So it's not really, it doesn't feel like work. It just feels like just a little problem to solve and to kind of streamline things to get more content. Because of course, things are always about pumping out more content. But in the case of All About Aerodynamics and AtTheTrack.live, it's not all about pumping out content. It is about looking at Hot Wheels cars, getting those Hot Wheels cars ready so that I can use them in the All About Aerodynamics program, which once again, if you would like more information, all you have to do is go to aaerodynamics.com and you will be able to find out all the information about the program and how to bring it to your school, your organization, your special event, and your students will absolutely learn the science. They'll have fun with the Hot Wheels, and I don't know what could be better. You can also follow us on Instagram at AA Aerodynamics as well, and all the information, links in the bio, all of that to get to the YouTube channel if you want to watch the last episode. If you want to watch other episodes of At The Track Live, go to our YouTube page. At the top, hit the Live tab. Under the Live tab, you will see all the episodes listed. I have been going back and adding in time codes so you can just jump. So the cars that we review are listed. You can click on those, jump to that review. If you just want to see the races, click on that, jump to the races. And if you want to watch the full episode, you're more than welcome to do that. You can do that as well. But all of the episodes are there. So if you want to see exactly how dominant the BlitzSpeeder has been from beginning to end, you can go there and check that out. If you want to select a car to race, then all you have to do is go to AtTheTrack.live. You will be taken to a page that has the stream links, but then select choose a car. You will go to this page, and on this page you can go and you can look at 729 different cars and try and pick out the one you think is going to be faster than the BlitzSpeeder. We had a good solid race today. Roughshod, yeah, great tournament. All the cars were competitive. The races were close. We had a couple of surprises, but there weren't any cars that were terribly slow. It's just that the BlitzSpeeder's just on another level, and cars are going to have a hard time if that's the measuring. That's sort of if Michael Jordan or LeBron James or Kobe Bryant are the standard by whether you measure how good a basketball player is, well, they're on a different level. That doesn't mean that everybody else is horrible because they're not LeBron or Michael Jordan or Kobe. It just means that there are people who are supremely good at something, and then there are other people who are really good, and some people who are okay, and some people who aren't so good, and some people who are pretty bad, but as long as they're having fun, who cares? All I know is that with these Hot Wheels cars, most of the cars are okay. Some are pretty good. The BlitzSpeeder is on another level altogether. And but this is going to be the fun of it, trying to find the car, because again, statistically, one of these cars, there's 728 cars. So statistically, one of these cars has to be faster than the BlitzSpeeder. You would think. Maybe. I don't know. So far, the BlitzSpeeder hasn't broken a sweat with any of the cars, other than the one car that one time. This one right here, the Slide Kick. The Slide Kick is the only car that ever took one race from the BlitzSpeeder. Now, the BlitzSpeeder may have just gotten a bad launch because the BlitzSpeeder came back and took the next two races. So, whatever the Slide Kick did, nobody else has ever done. But in the end, the Slide Kick did what everybody else does, and it lost to the BlitzSpeeder. So, the BlitzSpeeder is still the fastest car on the planet. It is as Mike Tyson was the baddest man on the planet and Ronda Rousey was the baddest woman on the planet, the BlitzSpeeder is the baddest Hot Wheels car on the planet. And the Slide Kick is the only car that ever even made it sweat just a little bit. It took one race, and that was it. And then the BlitzSpeeder woke up, beat it the next two races, and has moved on, has not looked back since, and is still our fastest in-fleet champion for the 10th week in a row. This is unprecedented territory, and if you think that you can pick a car that is faster than the BlitzSpeeder, you are welcome to do so. As I mentioned, just go to AtTheTrack.live, select choose a car, scroll through our many options, and take the number of the car that you find and drop that into the chat on Saturday. I will pull that car, we will race that car, and we will see if you are correct. If you had the knowledge, if you had the insight, if you had the luck to pick the car that is faster than our fastest in fleet champion, the BlitzSpeeder. So that is what we're looking at. We had a good set of races today. Again, if you want to find out any more information about AtTheTrack.live, about all about aerodynamics, just follow us on Instagram. It's the easiest way to go about it and keep up with everything that is happening and everything that will be happening. So until next week, I am Coach James, and I will see you at the races.